What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of X Factor Fantasy Football with your boy Swiper. And on the other line, finally back, always in transition, always doing something, always making money, always making moves. The one and only Jenna Garcia. How are you doing, Jenna?
What's good, Swipe? I'm doing all right. Bounce back win this week. Didn't get to see y'all on Monday to talk about it, but your girl's back in first place, going up against second place in the league this week. So it's a 1-2 battle. I'm excited for it.
Yep. And today we're gonna try to pull off a live trade because there's somebody I want on Jenna's roster, and she is just so anxious to give me this player because that's what happens when you have good credibility with people. You earn credibility by doing things that are kind and loving and sweet, and then the person's they're like, oh, I would love to work with you type deal. So I can't wait for that. We're gonna get to that in a little bit. But Jenna, what a week of fantasy football. We had some injuries, players go down. Christian McCaffrey might be on the mend. How you feeling about last week? How you feeling about your team and the performance last week?
Well, I left Zay Jones in my lineup and still won that matchup last week. But 15 points go to waste there. Could have had one of my other bench players in that spot. I feel like there were a lot of guys, even right before the Chargers game. Eckler getting into that tussle before the game, helmets off. I get an alert that he could be in concussion protocol and potentially not going to have a good game. Lots of points were affected, I felt like, this week. So definitely need to be on the waiver wire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I already made a big splash. I probably spent a little more money than I normally would have, but because I have so many buys this week, I wanted to go ahead and secure a spot just in case. So I spent a pretty good amount of money on Jordan Davis. And so what's the story Jordan Mason, rather? What's the story with Jordan Mason? So Christian McCaffrey currently is not 100% scheduled to play this upcoming weekend. And they play versus the Minnesota Vikings, which they are obviously a dumpster fire right now. And so if there's any possibility that Christian McCaffrey does not play, there are going to be a lot of opportunities available to Elijah Mitchell and then to Jordan Mason. And Jordan Mason last week got a good bit of carries. He got one rushing TD last week. He only had 27 yards. They were getting bottled up a lot. Obviously, as you saw, the Cleveland Browns defense was nothing to be playing with last week. But again, if you have an opportunity to get Jordan Mason, to go get Elijah Mitchell on the waiver wire in a league that you're in, then to me, that's the first get of the week. And you also have some buys this week. The Cincinnati Bengals are on a bye this week. The New York Jets are also on a bye this week. The Houston Texans are on a bye this week. So Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, Dalton Schultz, C.J. Stroud, Dameon Pierce, Breece Hall, and then obviously Michael. Then you got Garrett Wilson, the Jets defense. If you got like any of the two receivers, Nico or Tank Dell for the Texans, then you are scrambling, looking for people to plug and play this week. Again, more than likely not going to be available. But if Joshua Palmer for the Chargers is still out there, go get him. He is a nice flex. Again, the number 2 receiver currently in that offense with Keenan Allen after Mike Williams goes down for an entire year. Jenna Garcia. Is there anybody on the waiver wire that you're looking at that you think might be a good get for somebody?
You know what? I think there are a few guys on the waiver wire. I'm just looking at our league, right? So Tutu Atwell's out there. Rashid Shaheed is out there available.
Raheem Shaheed, yep.
Mims is out there if you're looking at wide receivers, obviously. And then running backs. I feel like the tight end position, if you have a tight end that has a bye week, that's the toughest waiver wire pickup because there just are not great tight ends performing, like unless they're top tier, and you probably already have that guy on your roster or he's on somebody else's roster. Melvin Gordon, I don't know. Damian Williams, Matt Breida. I don't know. Who are you picking up? Who do you think? I was talking about or thinking about potentially picking up a different quarterback just because I was looking at I feel like when you're in a bye week, you get screwed at quarterback potentially if your backup QB is just not performing right now. So I was looking in a couple leagues. Obviously, Kirk Cousins has been really good. and has had some really bad weeks too. I'm pretty worried about that matchup this week against San Francisco. But when it comes to QBs on the waiver wire, like Desmond Ridder, maybe.
Well, it depends on where you are in your league. Some people have Russell Wilson still on the wave. Now, I will say this: Russell Wilson has had some really good weeks, has had a really bad week versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Thursday Night Football, that was his worst performance of the year. So if you need another stream starter, guess what? Anthony Richardson is now down for the entire season with a shoulder injury now. So again, Gardner Minshew, probably not a great streaming option. I don't know if y'all saw him last week. Did not look good versus the Jaguars, even though Michael Pittman still ended up having a really good game. Again, they're going to need to supplement that with Jonathan Taylor and obviously Zach Moss. So maybe they'll be running the ball more. But again, if you need a streaming quarterback, Derek Carr, Russell Wilson, I mean, you got like your Kenny Pickett's and Desmond Ridders out there. I wouldn't trust any of them. But again, I would start targeting some other quarterbacks on people's rosters. Like people got a number 2 quarterback on their roster, which is like Jared Goff, or even like something around that tier. Some people might not be super happy with Dak Prescott right now. I would see if I can go target some of these number 2 quarterbacks in these systems, just because right now it's not looking pretty, especially with the injuries that we have coming up right now. Is there anybody on the waiver wire that you like for any tight end streams for this week? Because obviously you've got some people down. Cole Kmet is out there still, but obviously no Justin Fields. Cole Kmet was on a nice little run for a couple of weeks. You know, he's currently tied in 5, 9, 7, 4, but that 27 and 15-point week. He had 2 back-to-back really good weeks, but now you might not want to touch him with Justin Fields, maybe missing at least a week with an injury to his hand. So anybody else out there that you're looking at?
I mean, not really, no. That I feel like every good tight end is already on a roster. Luckily, I have a pretty good backup tight end, or I have 2 tight ends on my roster, so I didn't have to worry about it too much. And I was really happy about that because I was looking at who's available, right? You got Hunter Henry. He's questionable right now, but he might be your best option, and he's best going to get you 10 points at best, probably. He's averaging. He had a really bad
if you get 10
game
points from
against
Hunter
Raiders.
Henry, then that was a great pickup. I doubt he's going to get even that, though.
Well, he's had 16, 17, and 9, and then his 2 low scoring were 3, 0, and 1. So he's had some good, some bad, but it's definitely a toss-up. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I already picked up somebody. So right now, because I had a tight end going on a bye week this week in Dalton Schultz, I got Jonnu Smith, Atlanta playing versus Tampa Bay, but I don't necessarily love that matchup, so I could end up switching over to Hunter Henry. But I'm even trying to maybe get a little bit of a trade going and target a couple of different players. But as of right now, I'm comfortable with Dalton Schultz being my tight end 1. He's actually had a pretty good season so far. CJ Stroud and him have developed a real nice rapport. But as of this week, I would say Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, some players to look. And on top of that, you know, I had so many injuries this last week in my other league, Jenna.
Yeah.
I had to start in my flex. Man, this is going to sound really crazy, but I had to start in my flex freaking Taysom Hill this past week. But what's funny is Taysom Hill had his best game of the year. He had 7 receptions for 49 yards because they were just trying to throw the ball and get back in the game. But again, if you need another spot starter and you just see him on the waiver wire and then there's no one available, that might be another player to throw around. I would not expect a lot. If you get 8 points out of him, then you call yourself a successful week.
Well, I see Travis Kelce on the trade block 7 hours ago in our chat. So
yeah, well, he wants a haul for him though, so you're gonna have to give up a really, really nice solid package for that if you want Travis Kelce. But again, you get Travis Kelce, you get Mark Andrews. Basically, you're like kind of taking the very top of the league, and having a top end tight end is worth it in fantasy football. So we have a comment too, by the way. The question is, David, would you trade Ken Walker and Garrett Wilson for Cooper Kupp? Full PPR, concerned with K Walker's strength of schedule and TD dependency. Thank you. Would I trade Kenneth Walker and Garrett Wilson?
I was going to say, is it Ken Walker or Kenneth Walker? Because those two people are totally different in my head.
It's all the same. Whichever name you prefer. So
Ken Walker's out there doing somebody's taxes. Kenneth Walker, that's a different story.
My taxes. All right, let's see here. So Ken Walker, right now, how's he doing on the year? He's actually having a fairly good year this year. See, Kenneth Walker is currently RB10 in full PPR, 17.9 this last week coming off of a bye. Has been double digits in every single game. And then Garrett Wilson. Here's the problem. Garrett Wilson, talent-wise, wouldn't make that deal. But now with Zach Wilson manning the quarterback position. Now, this is what I'll say. Cooper Kupp, I think, and I talked to Jordan about this on Monday, I think Cooper Kupp is going to be in the conversation for wide receiver 1 rest of the year. It's going to be between him and Tyreek Hill. His volume is just insane. His ability to catch the ball is insane. Everything about Cooper Kupp is insane. His first drive back, 5 catches for 50-something yards in his first game. And, again, I drafted Cooper Kupp in the second round. And as I told Jenna, she was making fun of me because I started off 0-4, but I've scored 170-something and 140 points back-to-back because players are starting to get healthy now. And Cooper Kupp is the main driving engine behind that. This last weekend, Cooper Kupp had 27.8 points. And during that game, had 7 receptions, one touchdown. And then the week before that, 19.8 points. And he had 8 receptions for 118 yards. So Cooper Kupp is a freak, absolute freak. So I don't know, Jenna, you tell me, would you trade Ken Walker and Garrett Wilson for Cooper Kupp right now?
I mean, I think the point is you're getting 2 guys for 1 guy, right? And
if you trade, yeah.
If I'm making that trade, I'm hoping those 2 guys are doing more than what Cooper Kupp's output is. And I actually feel like it's probably pretty even, like what you're getting outside as far as points goes, right? Fantasy points go. You're probably getting the same amount with just Cooper Kupp. So if you're the guy with Kenneth Walker and Garrett Wilson, I guess go for it. I would go for it probably. Kupp's just going to get all those touches. You saw immediately how quick they went back to him, right? Like both like every other receiver on the Rams, their attempts and targets dropped this last week.
Yeah, I think the only thing is Coop. Scary thing about him, first quarter had to get his ankle wrapped because he felt funny. And so, yeah, like it's just if he's healthy, though, he's basically 21 PPR points a game. Like he's a dynamite. But when he's not healthy, he's not out there. It's either you get the best play outside of Jerry Rice ever fantasy football-wise, or you're getting absolutely nothing. So here's the thing. Cooper Kupp is healthy, better than the Kenneth Walker, obviously better than Garrett Wilson. It depends on how sure you are, David, I would say, around the edges. If you have another running back in the stable or 2 other running backs you feel really comfortable with, then I would do it. But if not, a little short, that'd be a little bit the risk. Personally, I'm a big Cooper Kupp guy, so I would be willing to do it, but I want to make sure the rest of my team is solidified. Jenna, another question from Clayton. Would you trade Jacoby Myers, Zach Moss, and Christian Watson for Mike Evans and Aaron Jones? Jacoby Myers, number 2 receiver for the Raiders. You had Zach Moss, the number 2 back now for the Indianapolis Colts. And then you have Christian Watson, the supposed number 1 receiver for the Green Bay Packers for Mike Evans and Aaron Jones.
I would say no, just because of those teams, like the Colts situation, those team situations. Like, I just don't think those guys are set up for success. Off the top of my head,
if you own Mike Evans and Aaron Jones, you're saying you wouldn't trade for Zach Moss and Jacoby Myers.
I'm trying to look up numbers real quick. I don't know. I haven't really. Well, Aaron Jones isn't doing anything this year.
No, that's what I'm saying. He struggled bust a little bit this year.
But Mike Evans was doing all right in the first few games. I was keeping up with him because he was on my team last year. And just the 1 week that I needed, he was good all season. And the 1 week that I needed him to perform, like it was going to matter. He did not perform. Right. He's not one of those guys. So I was keeping up with him at the beginning of the season. He was doing all right, but I haven't seen really what he's done lately.
Name brand value, the trade makes sense. Name brand value, the trade makes sense. But giving up Jacoby, Zach Moss, and Watson, I don't believe in any of those dudes long term. Christian Watson may pick it up, but Aaron Jones, when he gets healthy, is going to be a bona fide top 12 RB. Mike Evans is a wide receiver 2 at the worst this season. So I probably would make that trade for Evans and Jones because I'm probably not starting Jacoby Moss and Watson anyway. So I would just go ahead and make that trade if I was you. All right. So Jenna Garcia, we have Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, we do.
We have a nice game coming up. This weekend on Thursday, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the New Orleans Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody that you're guaranteed starting on either side of the ball? Trevor Lawrence is also questionable as well. Is not guaranteed to play.
Well, I'm guaranteed not going to play Zay Jones. That's true. No, probably ETN. Definitely ETN. Yeah. He's definitely on the list. Got to start him. Kamara, probably as well.
Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, Derek Carr.
Yeah, Chris Olave for
Calvin
sure
Ridley.
is on that list. And then you got to think about Ridley a little bit too. I would consider starting Ridley if I have him on my roster, but Derek Carr, I feel like there's got to be better quarterbacks out there that you could start over Derek Carr, although he's had a couple of good games fantasy point wise.
Yeah, definitely starting Kamara, definitely starting Chris Olave, definitely starting Calvin Ridley, definitely starting Travis Etienne. If you got Trevor Lawrence, you got to start him. And again, if you have another quarterback option, just be a little bit careful because even if he plays on Thursday Night Football, the Saints defense is no joke. Pass rush is no joke. So Calvin Ridley, Travis Etienne, Alvin Kamara, and then Chris Olave, all for sure starters if I'm gearing up for Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, the Saints are favored in that game by 1 point. Mm-hmm. By 1 point. So if you think that the Jags are the better team, take the Jags money line. You're getting like plus 105 odds. Great odds for that. I feel like the Jags have actually won a lot of games that I did not realize some of the teams that they have beaten have been some of the better teams, right? You got to win against Miami. You got to win against the Buffalo. You got a couple of really good wins. Obviously, they lose to the Chiefs. So that kind of is telling you where the tiers are at there. So I feel like the Jags can win against the Saints. They're definitely a tier below some of those teams that they've beaten.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jenna, it's time for you. It is time for Swiper and Jenna to have a conversation. All right, so listen. This is a good trade request, Jenna. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you currently got David Montgomery, Brian Robinson, and you have Derrick Henry. You complain about Derrick Henry every other day. You don't even love Derrick Henry like that.
You
complain about him every other day.
He was my first pick.
Yeah, he was your first love. Then you dumped him for Brian Robinson. I know.
No.
Right, so look,
no one dumped him.
So then you got David Montgomery, RB14. He's been a little nicked up, all this other stuff. So Jenna, if you had an option of trading me either Derrick Henry, who would be a premium price, or David Montgomery, who would be a good price but not a premium price, which of those running backs would you be more willing to trade?
Which of those running backs? I mean, it would be really tough to choose. David Montgomery was like a goldmine pick, like giving me more than I expected him to give me this season. You know, I'm attached to my roster here, Swipe, but you're trying to tug on our friendship and get this trade done when earlier this week I got offered Jamar Chase for David Montgomery and Keenan Allen.
Yeah, well, and I turned that down. You wouldn't do that deal. Yeah, obviously you wouldn't do that.
Well, what are you trying to give up off of that roster? Because Lord knows I don't want Justin Fields or any of your Broncos players.
My Justin Fields players? Well, first off,
I said, Lord knows I don't want any of your Broncos players or Justin Fields.
No, all right. Yeah, you don't want any of my Broncos players, even though whatever. So listen. I can do a 2-for-1 with you. David Montgomery is nicked up. You don't even love David like that. You don't even know where he went to school. You don't even remember where he played last year, probably. So listen, talk to me. So Michael Pittman is currently wide receiver 14. Your flexes are, they're in the struggle bus a little bit. Dallas Goedert. You got Dallas Goedert and you got Rashee Rice. You don't need that. You need a little bit more boosting to your
Mm-hmm.
flexes. Okay, listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
How would you feel if I combine one of my backs with Michael Pittman for you in a deal for Derrick Henry?
We were just talking about David Montgomery, and you just switch it up
I
at the
know,
end.
but I just want to see what the premium cost would be. If you could ideate a trade to help build your team out even more, to make your superior, healthy, very good 5-1 fantasy football team with your brilliant, astute mind put together so easily. If you could
Why does
put
this compliment feel like it's a backstabbed compliment, or like
how about I'm
feel sarcastic?
telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. You've done a great job. You're 5-1.
I'm 5-1. I'm first in the league, and you're trying to take Derrick Henry or David Montgomery. Well,
no, I would never take. This is a nice, fair trade conversation.
Mm-hmm.
If you could ideate what a trade with Derrick Henry would look like, what would it be? Jenna
It would
Garcia?
include
The
Cooper
wonderful
Kupp.
Jenna Garcia. Viva Diva. For what?
It would include Cooper Kupp for Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. Okay, Cooper Kupp and who for Derrick Henry and who?
You said two.
It ain't gonna be just Cooper.
What happened?
Double up a better fantasy football player for Derrick Henry.
Well, that's what you said was on the table.
Cooper
That's
Kupp,
what I'm saying.
Derrick, in this conversation with Cooper Kupp is the homecoming queen. Derrick Henry is the runner-up.
If he's healthy.
It's Cooper. It's Cooper.
If he's healthy.
Yes, he is, and he's going ham. And he looks amazing. It looks great.
Okay.
I love the way he looks.
You just told David over
bullish.
here that you were worried. You were hesitant over Cooper Kupp. When you're telling me.
No, that's not what I said. I said if he's right, he's a guaranteed 21 points per game. But if he's not, he's a zero. The thing is, he's right. He's healthy right now. He's full go. So, Jenna Garcia, he's averaging 23 fantasy points per game since he came back.
What's Derrick Henry averaging? Because he's 20 points minus 2, except outside of 2 performances this year. He's got
really stinky performances. Yeah, outside of those 2.
Yeah, outside of those 2.
Yeah, he has
the Browns defense, man. We got to talk about the Browns defense. You do not want to be doing. Yeah.
But you're on a bye, and you're in a really good matchup this week versus Sosa. And you're projected to lose by 9 points. I can give you a win this week. How about this?
That is tempting.
Derrick Henry, and receiver you don't care all that much. Derrick Henry.
I love that you keep saying that. I don't care about my players, like you know.
I mean, I'm just being real. Real.
Nah.
So we got Derrick Henry and AJ Brown for Cooper Kupp.
AJ Brown. Just throwing AJ Brown in there.
What did you say?
You're just throwing AJ Brown in there now. You're just throwing guys I wasn't even considering in there. You know what? If you give me Dalton Schultz and Cooper Kupp, I will give you Derrick Henry.
Dalton Schultz and Cooper Kupp and Derrick Henry and what?
Derrick Henry.
Nah, I ain't doing that. You crazy. I'm not giving you the better player. Not happening. I'll be honest with you. You don't actually have a secondary piece that I love because your top 4 is already good, which is Henry, Montgomery. It's going to be A.J. Brown and Keenan Allen. So, really, I would want, if anything, it would be secondary. What would your trade for Brian Robinson be? You didn't even love Brian Robinson like that. I was with Brian Robinson coming out the street when my man got shot in the leg in Washington, D.C. last year. Many men wish death upon me. Blood in my eyes, no, I can't see.
I've been with Brian Robinson all season, week after week.
I've been with him since Bama. What's
28 points. I love him.
Brian Robinson, give me Brian Robinson and what is Dallas Goedert's year? What is he doing this year? Tight end 10? Brian Robinson.
Goddard's been pretty good, honestly. Njoku.
Dallas Goedert. Matter of fact, we'll talk offline because we'll have a whole hour conversation after this side match so we can figure this stuff out. Anyway, listen, Jenna. Is there any matchups for this week that you're looking forward to? Any matchup
yes.
that you're looking forward to this week that you're really looking forward to?
I'm actually really looking forward to this Thursday night game. Not gonna lie, for once, I feel like this is a pretty good matchup. 3-3 Saints. I think the Jags will be like fun to watch, see what they can do. But I haven't really loved Thursday night football every single week so far. Let me think. Who else do I really like this week? Ooh, no. I guess Chargers Chiefs. I'm not trying to always pick the Chargers game. I know I picked Chargers Cowboys last week, but the Chargers Chiefs game I'd be down to watch. There's got to be something, right? Like I feel like we're about to see push come to shove with these Chargers team. It's Brandon Staley making mistakes. I mean, it can't last forever. I don't think Herbert is to blame for everything, and I'm hoping to see a big game from him because I feel like people are talking about him and Tua and giving Tua now, like before they last season maybe, or even the season before would have given Herbert like the, held him in higher regard than Tua. And now everybody's like, no, it's Tua. Dolphins, Eagles will be fun. And, Broncos, I guess, just to watch them lose.
Yeah, I can't wait. The Tankathon Caleb William Drake May show is here for the Broncos, but I'm going with the Ravens-Lions game. That could be a high-scoring game. I'm really excited for that. I think the Lions win that game and goes to 6-1, which would be insane for them. I think that the Giants-Commanders game, I think that's going to be a rushing game. I think Brian Robinson and Saquon Barkley could have great games this week. So, again, we'll see if Daniel Jones plays, but maybe not. Another Saquon day. I think that the Rams-Steelers, Cooper Kupp versus whoever the Steelers put on them, that should be golden. That should be a great game.
You only like the games your players are playing in.
No, I think that's legitimately the wait.
We know now why you want Brian Robinson, because you want him and Saquon to just get you all your points for this.
I don't have anybody for the Lions-Ravens game. The Commanders-Giants game is just going to be a good game. The Dolphins and Eagles play. That's going to be a humongous game. So
I said that
fire up Tyreek Hill, Raheem Mostert. I'm just repeating. I fire up Raheem Mostert, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, everybody. Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift, A.J. Brown. Now, Devonta Smith, questionable. But if he's good to go, playing him too. Then you got the 49ers, Vikings. Everybody on the 49ers roster. Play them all. Play every single one of them.
Of course.
Everybody. Yeah.
I know. And then, I'm honestly, I'm worried about Kirk Cousins. We have to talk about what's going on with Kirk at some point on this pod. Because
he's just having a down year, and there's no Justin Jefferson now. What do you expect?
He's gonna go from first to worst. He was like the number 2 QB in most fantasy leagues at the beginning of the season, putting up crazy numbers. And now this week might be his worst week. And I'm gonna have to start him because I have Joe Burrow has a bye week in my other league. 5-1.
Yeah.
Hurt.
Well, I wasn't expecting him to maintain that performance all year anyway. But yeah, Jenna, we got some really good games this week. I'm excited to see what happens, and we got another episode that'll be coming out next Monday as well. I can't wait. X Factor Fantasy Football. Y'all make sure y'all slide in Jenna's DMs and tell her to trade Derrick Henry to me. All right. See y'all later.